Russia has invaded Ukraine, and the situation is worsening day by day. We spoke with people in the US to get their take on the situation.
We see what's happening in Ukraine is being taken over by Russia. Do you think this is going to escalate into a bigger war?
It's definitely possible. From what I know, a lot of the other countries don't really want to escalate into a bigger war because Russia has nukes. It would be really bad if that kind of thing were to happen. Yeah. That's also really bad because Russia has a lot of power there to put onto Ukraine and maybe other smaller countries later on. So I think we'll have to see.
No, I don't think we're going towards a world war, but I do think it will change a lot of the way that geopolitics and international relations is going to work. I think it's definitely going to shift a lot of things, but I don't think it's going to be a world war.
You know, personally, I don't think it's going to escalate into what the media is calling as like the next World War III, although the offensive has been greater than that of like what we've seen like with World War II. And this is kind of really developing in a lot of ways that we haven't seen in a while. I think what this really is at the end of the day is going to be an issue with energy. And President Biden is having some trouble, at least imposing sanctions on where it hurts the most with the Russian economy, which is its oil industry. So I think if we were to fight this war and to win it, it's going to be more about like restricting trade and restricting some of their banking provisions that they had under SWIFT. That's going to do the most hurt than sending a full standing military to attack.
Well, I personally think that because of like the way the world is nowadays, that the idea of trying to take over another nation isn't really accepted by other nations. And I feel like in general, most people would try to prevent that happening. So I don't see it turning into a world war.
I think it would be hard for Russia to, gain the support that they would need with the amount of like media coverage that we have today. I think people are just so exposed to like all the information that I just think it would be really hard for it to escalate that far.
I think if the U.S. gets involved, it's going to turn into global conflict. I think there's a strong possibility that Putin is doing this to instigate Biden, given their tense relation already. I mean, world war would look bad. If Biden does nothing, then obviously Russia's going to keep pushing into Ukraine, so the situation's just bad all around.
Like we all know that these nations are nuclear, they have nuclear weapons, they're armed fully, right, to the teeth. So God forbid this does turn into like a bigger war or whatever, they use a nuclear weapon as a deterrent. So are we ready for something like that? Do you think something like that could happen?
Well, it's always possible, but I guess if it does turn into like nuclear warfare, it's concerning, but I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah.
I'm not personally like afraid for the United States. Like I know we'll be okay, but for Ukraine, I know that they really need support, and that support that we could provide, I don't know if we will, but I think we could.
I think all the world leaders know that a nuclear war would be mutually assured destruction. Nobody wants that. So although it could definitely escalate to who knows what, I don't think it'll ever. Well, you can't say ever, because who knows? But I think it's very unlikely that it'll get to that level.
I think, even Putin, who, since the beginning wanted to recover some of these old Soviet satellite countries, it's mutually assured destruction. No one wins when there's an all-out nuclear war. It's something to be feared just because Russia is nuclear capable, but I don't think it's in their interest. And I don't think Putin's the type of leader that would jump quickly on using nuclear weapons if he had to.
We're definitely not ready for something like that. Right now, like what I said about Biden getting involved, I think it's sort of a wait and see what's going to happen deal before any definitive statements can be made on what's going to happen regarding nukes. So right now, probably not, but also, we're probably not even near the peak. Like the UN's just starting to get involved like a couple days ago when this started going on for a week.
Yes. So in terms of global peace, like you look at the world right now, not just Russia and obviously the countries involved, but how can we because we're seeing this a lot of fighting, a lot of wars. How can we establish world peace in your opinion?
Honestly, something like nuclear war really does bring everyone together in the sentiment that they don't want the world destroyed and they don't want all their capitals burned to the ground. So
I obviously don't have the answer. There are people who've been working on this for a long time, but one step is more open and free governments around the world, I think, would be a good step.
I think the key to maintaining and preserving world peace, I think, is to maybe increase a little bit more of those like international treaties. NATO was, I think, a good step in the right direction. It's just when you have countries like Russia that feel left out for like economic reasons, political reasons, and that we're seeing that a lot of Eastern powers are growing stronger. I think it's time to think about like exactly how we're going to maybe include them in the conversation since they're big enough, and also what really is like the role of the United States in kind of interfering with some of these countries' affairs. But those are some questions to answer before stepping in solving world peace.
Yeah, of course, everyone hopes for world peace, but I think it might be difficult to establish.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like world peace is wishful thinking. The people in power are just like, I don't know. That's not what the goal is. It's to have more power. So I don't know that they would be willing to give that up to attain world peace.
I don't think it's possible when you still have basically tyrants like Putin who really want to invade and increase their country's wealth and territory and all this stuff. As long as people like that are in power, and given how many countries and world leaders, especially in powerful and like militarily powerful nations, I don't think it's possible in the world we live in.
Could this conflict lead to World War III or a nuclear war possibly? Are we ready for something like that? Comment below and share your thoughts with us.
Make sure to like, comment below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other channels for the latest content.